what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe.
What's up, YouTube? Southern Yankee back at it again. Today we're not going to do any of the fluff pieces with videos. I want to sit down and have some real talk with you guys. But of course, I'm going to go over what amendments we do have. We're going to start with the 23rd Amendment. And of course, the 23rd Amendment was ratified on March 23rd, 29th. On March 29th, 1961. And all that did was it gave the citizens of the District of Columbia the right to vote. Okay? Then we move down to the 24th Amendment. Now, the 24th Amendment states that everybody has a right to vote no matter what the state says, basically. Like before that, if you didn't pay your poll taxes, you weren't allowed to vote. The reason why this amendment had been put into play is we discussed earlier in the series about felons having their rights to vote come back once you completed your time and your sentence. Some states are requiring you to send a letter to your congressperson or anything like that, but that is completely unconstitutional based off of the 24th Amendment. Now, the 24th Amendment was ratified on June 23rd, 1964. Now, the amendment that I wanted to talk the most about today is the 25th Amendment, and that was ratified on February 10th, 1967. And everybody knows with that amendment, if the president was to either get sick or die or get removed from office, then that automatically gives the vice president the presidency. But a lot of people don't realize when you get to Section 2 of that amendment is that president, the ex-vice president that became the president, can nominate and elect a vice president. Now, we're not allowed to name names or point fingers, so everybody knows what I'm talking about here with our present candidate, who is now the president-elect. His health isn't doing too well. So what will happen is his vice president will become the president, and that vice president can pick whoever they want to take their spot and fill that vacancy. A lot of problems with that is none of the American citizens have a right to that point. Once that new president takes over, they can appoint whoever they choose to run as their vice president. Now, I want to do some real talk today, get away from all the videos and stuff that you guys have been used to lately, because I haven't had a chance to sit down and just have some real talk about what's going on in today's society. And one of the things that I want to talk about is this Operation Legend that has been going on. And something about it it doesn't settle well. Operation Legend was designed to try to take out vicious and violent crimes throughout our inner cities and urban societies. But if you look at the statistics of what people are being arrested for, like I do believe it was the city of Cleveland, Ohio, they had 114 arrests. 60% of them were for gun-related crimes. Now, that leaves a big opening because a lot of people don't realize, like, if you had a felony and say you went and visit your brother and your brother has a gun in his house and the cops show up, you could be arrested for having that gun in your house. But 60% of those people that were being arrested were arrested on gun charges or narcotic charges. And again, it goes back to if you have a felony and say, like, you run out of cigarettes and you buy rolling papers and you're rolling cigarette butts, you have paraphernalia on you. And again, you could be arrested. And that was like 40% of the people that got arrested was on those charges. But yet you get down to the bottom line where it's actual violent crimes, which is what Operation Legend was designed for. These people were only like, there was like maybe 4 or 6 people out of that entire number, or 5, that were arrested for actual violent crimes. Now, to me, that puts out a big, huge red flag, okay? They're not seizing illegal guns, they're not seizing narcotics, but they're arresting people on those charges for simple, basic things. Another problem I'm having with today's society is all these bombings that are going on. Right now, we just had one here in Alabama, and it pretty much took out most of the telecommunications through AT&T. Ladies and gentlemen, these things are not just random events. Mass media is making it look like random events, but we just had another bombing just yesterday. These are all part of the narrative, okay? The narrative they're trying to push on to all of us, and we got to wake up. David Icke said it best, that this will keep going on until we stand as a nation. I'm furious. I'm pissed. What are we going to do? Are we going to let this happen? We need to stop complying. We need to stop complying. This is our nation. Our nation under God. Are you with me? Are you going to stand behind and let them do this? This is our country. I love my country. I love my people. What are you doing? Sitting there, living in fear? Stand up, America. Stand up now. What in the blue hell did I just watch? Oh my God, dude. We are so
what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe.
Hey YouTubers, Southern Yankee back again. Took a vacation. Hope you guys didn't miss me. But that little socialism video that I showed you at the beginning of this podcast was done back in 2014. And that was sent in by a YouTube user going by the name of XXKNAHXS. And the reason why I wanted to put that video in today is to show everybody how long this narrative has been going. And I just noticed the chemtrails above my head. Did you guys see this? Anyways, but today's video, we're going to cover some of the amendments. We're going to do the 20th through the 22nd. And I think it's very imperative to cover that right now. The 20th Amendment states that a president or vice president, their term ends on January 20th at noon. So for all the stuff that the media is trying to tell you guys, no matter what they're trying to push down your throats, technically, Donald Trump is still your president until January 20th at noon. Okay? So, with that said, there's a lot of things going on right now. And Trump, if you ever get a chance to see this video, now's the time for you to do something if you're going to do anything. Because I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be up front. It's looking like the way things are right now, it looks like the representative, the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, will be running things until we figure out what's going on. And I don't think that's a really good idea. Now on to the 21st Amendment, which we have brought up many times before. It was ratified on December 5th, 1933, and that was to repeal the 17th Amendment. And since we covered that amendment already and about the 21st Amendment, watch this little video on how amendments are passed or ratified. And then we'll come back to the channel.
When it was ratified in 1789, the U.S. Constitution didn't just institute a government by the people. It provided a way for the people to alter the Constitution itself. And yet, of the nearly 11,000 amendments proposed in the centuries since, only 27 have succeeded as of 2016. So what is it that makes the Constitution so hard to change? In short, its creators. The founders of the United States were trying to create a unified country from 13 different colonies, which needed assurance that their agreements couldn't be easily undone. So here's what they decided. For an amendment to even be proposed, it must receive a 2/3 vote of approval in both houses of Congress, or a request from 2/3 of state legislatures to call a national convention. And that's just the first step. To actually change the Constitution, the amendment must be ratified by 3/4 of all states. To do this, each state can either have its legislature vote on the amendment, or it can hold a separate ratification convention, with delegates elected by voters. The result of such high thresholds is that today, the American Constitution is quite static. Most other democracies pass amendments every couple of years. The US, on the other hand, hasn't passed one since 1992. At this point, you may wonder how any amendments manage to pass at all. The first 10, known as the Bill of Rights, include some of America's most well-known freedoms, such as the freedom of speech and the right to a fair trial. These were passed all at once to resolve some conflicts from the original Constitutional Convention. Years later, the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery, as well as the 14th and 15th Amendments, only passed after a bloody civil war. Ratifying amendments has also become harder as the country has grown larger and more diverse. The first ever proposed amendment, a formula to assign congressional representatives, was on the verge of ratification in the 1790s. However, as more and more states joined the Union, the number needed to reach the 3/4 mark increased as well, leaving it unratified to this day. Today, there are many suggested amendments, including outlawing the burning of the flag, limiting congressional terms, or even repealing the Second Amendment. While many enjoy strong support, their likelihood of passing is slim. Americans today are the most politically polarized since the Civil War, making it nearly impossible to reach a broad consensus. In fact, the late Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia once calculated that due to America's representative system of government, it could take as little as 2% of the total population to block an amendment. Of course, the simplest solution would be to make the Constitution easier to amend by lowering the thresholds required for proposal and ratification. That, however, would require its own amendment. Instead, historical progress has mainly come from the U.S. Supreme Court, which has expanded its interpretation of existing constitutional laws to keep up with the times. Considering that Supreme Court justices are unelected and serve for life once appointed, this is far from the most democratic option. Interestingly, the founders themselves may have foreseen this problem early on. In a letter to James Madison, Thomas Jefferson wrote that laws should expire every 19 years, rather than having to be changed or repealed, since every political process is full of obstacles that distort the will of the people. Although he believed that the basic principles of the Constitution would endure, he stressed that the earth belongs to the living, and not to the dead.
So as you see with that video, that is up to the people, the population, Congress in every state that can ratify, create, or establish an amendment to our Constitution. This is like a double-edged sword. A lot of people don't realize that. Even though the country is for the people, by the people, those who write the narrative have ways of working around it. So, you know, there are bills being passed or trying to be passed or amendments being written that is really completely unconstitutionalized. And like it states there before, the Constitution was designed for every American citizen. And we've had our ups and downs with it, but we always ratified and fixed things. That's what made our nation so great. And even though a majority of everything we've learned in life has been all hogwashed and candy-coated, I still hold to those principles today. I feel it in my soul, and I hope a lot of other Americans do. Now, the 22nd Amendment states that no one can be elected president more than 2 terms. And each term is 4 years apart. But that amendment was written in to keep us from ending up in a parliament or dictatorship. You know, the age of kings and queens are dead and gone, unfortunately, as much as we'd like to hang on to those beliefs. But anyways, I have come across some feed when everybody's talking about how the election was not fraudulent and that the Democrats have won legitly. Watch this little video of the Trump supporters in D.C. and tell me what you think. In case none of you all noticed, this is the Trump supporter rally in D.C. just earlier this week. That should tell you how serious people are taking this election, ladies and gentlemen, because they know what's about to come down the pipeline. Look at those masses. This is reality. Well, ladies and gentlemen and fellow patriots, that's what I got for this week. I will catch you guys later on as we continue our list of the amendments. And if there's anything you guys want to discuss or have any topics, go ahead and hit me up. Leave a comment. If you're new to the channel, hit that like button, subscribe. That way you get to see my beautiful, ugly face whenever you guys log on. So, YouTube, you have a great one. My patriots, God bless. I'm looking out for y'all. Later.